Motivation bundling is actually a wonderful term for putting something you enjoy with something you don't really enjoy. So the want behavior, the thing that you really want to do has to be motivating. The one thing that we want to do, let's try not to do that unless you're doing it with a should behavior. Confusing? Well, let's move ahead and see if we can unmuddy the waters here. Here's something I love. I love watching Netflix, especially documentaries, but my motivation is to get on the elliptical or do some exercise while I'm watching one. It's a great use of time because I don't have to think about
Yeah.
how I'm suffering. and then and then we have a down below, there's some, that's the cozy little slippers are bundled with reading. So the task is reading, not just for pleasure, but reading for school. And then also making some flashcards with, a drink you might like. So this visual is here to help you get some ideas. And we have an awesome resource for you. This is kind of a two-part, like choose your style of how you'd like to do this. What we have on this side is the should behavior. And the example here is making those flashcards for Spanish. It's something you should do, you're supposed to do. It's hard to get it done, but you sure love your Gatorade. The way that you can probably best use this is to write down what your should behaviors are. And then what do you think would be a good want behavior that doesn't conflict with the should, but that is a pretty doable thing. Like I say, I don't think you can, if you like finger painting or something, it's kind of hard to do that when you're making flashcards. You have to be really reasonable with how you pair these things.
I think it's also important when you're talking to your kids about this one or students going over this one, the should behaviors for this top part are should behaviors that are kind of like recurring should behaviors in their life that they're having a hard time getting going on, rather than new should behaviors kind of on the fly or like happening different from one day to the next. These are like things they know all the time they need to do, but they're putting off. And then they're thinking very specifically about how they can get themselves started on that repetitive behavior. I
Yeah.
don't know if that's enough of a clarification, but
Well, no, that's good because our others, like, second option here is to have a list of all the things you want. Just brainstorm of all those things that you just would like to have to make your life awesome. Your child, of course, wants to watch video games all the time or eat ice cream all the time, but they don't need to do that 24/7. So let's go ahead and create a brainstorm list where you just have all of your wants. And then you can, maybe what you need to do is really study for that math test tomorrow, but it's been really hard to get motivated because you've been putting it off. Maybe what you need to do is get in. Maybe you've already studied a little bit, but you know that you need to review some more. So maybe that would be the should part. I want to, the should is to get prep for my math test. Maybe you want to put your pajamas on or get something comfortable on. So you can bundle those two together.
And it looks silly to have video games in the wants, because you would think that how can you study while you're watching video games? But that is there because there really are. I do have students that they want to play video games and they know they're going to play video games. But I have kids that use video games as their like, I have my flashcards made. I will study for Spanish, but I'm going to review, while the games are loading or whatever, which there's plenty of time spent loading. They're like, for that 2 minutes of loading time over the 3 hour period of time I'm playing video games, I'm going to review my flashcards every time the game is loading. And so it's not just crazy that video games are there. And the thing is when kids have a chance to really talk about it and think about it, it's amazing some of the stuff they could come up with. Like I would never have said like, well, how can we use video games to motivate you to study for your Spanish test in those short amount of times? But it works if they commit to it themselves and they come up with it themselves.
Right. That's a great reward. I love it.